Hi guys, welcome back to the Burbstead, and you can see we are back downstairs today. We're going to be talking about seed starting medium today. I know if you are not a gardener, this is probably going to be very boring. But if you are a gardener, this may be something that you have been looking for a resource on. I know when I was getting started with starting seeds the very first time, I went looking for information and was completely overwhelmed by the amount of information that's out there. And I had more questions than I could find answers for, because one question led to 2 questions, led to 4 questions, led to 10 questions, and it seemed just daunting to try and figure out what is the best thing to start my seeds in. So I decided that I would put together kind of just a basic guide on seed starting mix, how you can make your own, at least what I'm going to be making my own out of this year, and some other things to kind of look for that will hopefully provide some definitions for you. So the first thing that you need to understand is that you can either buy it pre-made or you can make it yourself, and either one is totally fine. Either one is going to get you something that will work for you. You just have to find what makes the most sense in your space. So buying it pre-made is super easy. You can go down to the big box store or your local nursery or even online and buy a bag, bring it home, wet it down, put your seeds in it, and you're good to go. There are lots of different brands, there are lots of different types. You can pick one that is organic if that's something that's really important to you, or you can find one that's just really economical if that's something that's also really important to you. Completely fine. Either way, you will be able to start your seeds in that. The other way, if you are going to be starting in bulk, or you want to be able to have more control over what is actually going into your starting mix, then you can make it yourself. And there are lots of ways to do that. Basically, there are a few main ingredients that you need for your seed starting mix, and all of these will already be in your pre-made bag that you buy from the store. You need to have something that is going to be an actual medium, that is going to be able to absorb water and actually provide a firm rooting for your seedlings. You need something that's going to provide aeration. You need something that will help hold moisture, and you need to have something that's going to provide nutrients. Those basic 4 things are going to help you get your seedlings started. And at a certain point, then you can transplant them out into either a potting mix, or you can plant them in the garden, or whatever the next step is for your particular plant. So when I started doing some research online as far as what makes sense for recipes and how much do you need and different types of materials for those 4 different ingredients, that's when I really started to find more questions. So I found a recipe that is going to be very, very simple. That is what I'm going to use, and hopefully it'll be something that is going to be simple and easy for you to use as well. So what my recipe is going to be may be different than yours, because there are a ton out there. I know that the Rusted Garden has a recipe, and I've seen his, and his looks great. He has apparently great success with his because his seedlings always look beautiful. I know that MI Gardener has another recipe that's out there that you can use, and he also has great success. So if you're looking for a couple of YouTube channels that do seed starting mixes on their own, you can check those out. This is what I'm going to do, because I am all about keeping it simple, sweetie, because I don't want to have anything that's too complicated. I don't want to have a bunch of ingredients all the way around my house or in my shed cluttering it up. I want to be able to get it started and not have to think about it a lot. The other thing is that I'm a firm believer that seeds want to grow. And as long as you are taking the steps to get them into something that is a little bit better than just standard garden soil, and you give them water and you give them the appropriate amount of light for the appropriate amount of time each day, they should grow. And anything else that happens, you just got to roll with the punches. Sometimes it's not really your fault if something goes wrong after that. Sometimes you've got bad seed packet. Sometimes you end up with a pest. Like last year, a lot of my seedlings got taken out by spider mites, which was very frustrating. But, you know, life happens, so you just keep going. But here's what I'm going to do this year. So mine is going to be very easy, and if you have a different recipe that you've done before, please drop a comment below. Let us all know what's worked for you, so then that way we can all learn and try something new. So I'm going to use 2 parts potting soil. And this is just a plain Jane, simple potting soil. Use whatever you like. The reason why I like the potting soil is because it already has a lot of really great things in it. It already has some perlite, so these little white pieces that are in here. So it already has something that's going to provide aeration. It already has some peat moss in it, which is also going to provide aeration and hold moisture. It has some fertilizer in it because it's got compost in it, which your seedlings are going to need at a certain point. If you decide to go with a growing medium that doesn't have any sort of fertilizer or compost right off the bat, like if you decide to grow in straight peat moss, at a certain point your seedlings are going to need to have some sort of fertilizer to help keep them growing. They're going to need those nutrients. So this is really simple and easy so that I don't have to think about it. It's already going to be baked in there, and this is really light and fluffy already. So I've got 2 parts of potting mix, and then I've got 1 part peat moss, which peat moss is this light fluffy stuff you're going to see. You can buy this in bags. You can buy it in a block, I believe, or you could use cocoa coir. Cocoa coir would be another nice substitute if you can't find peat moss economically, because you can get a lot of cocoa coir for not a lot of money. So I'm going to use 1 part of this, and then I'm going to use 1 part vermiculite. Now vermiculite is going to be different than the perlite that's in your potting mix. You can see the difference like right away. So perlite are these bigger pieces that's kind of right there in my hand. They're about the size of, I don't know, baby peas, maybe a little smaller than baby peas, whereas vermiculite is really fine and grainy like that. The difference is in what they're made of and what they do. So vermiculite is a volcanic ash or volcanic kind of crushed stone, and it is going to help hold on to moisture. It's also going to help provide some aeration into your potting soil. Now some people, what they will do is they will scatter this over the top of their seedlings, or the top of their potting mix, excuse me, and use that to cover instead of using a potting soil. I've never done that. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm sure that it works because I've heard a lot of people say that they do it. I personally am just going to mix it in here and call it good. So once that's all done, then I'm just going to mix it kind of gently. Now I've heard different people say that you should sterilize your mix, and I understand the reasoning behind that. They want to make sure that you're not going to have any sort of pests or weed seeds or other things that are going to be competing with your seedlings or cause them to fail. If you're buying something that is already pre-mixed, pre-done, you shouldn't need to do that because it should already be sterilized. If you're buying potting soil, it should already be sterilized as well. But you could go ahead and do the trick that the Rustic Gardener has, which he uses hot water, boiling hot water over his potting mix that he makes, or seed starting mix, and then that should take care of it as well. I am not really a big fan of putting dirt in my oven. That doesn't really sound appealing to me. I am sure that it would be totally fine, but heating up whatever is in there just doesn't seem like a good idea to mix that together. Now, if you're doing fully organic, you're probably completely okay. But since I'm buying my potting soil, and while it may say organic, I don't really 100% know that there hasn't been any contamination. So I'm just going to be safe and not do that. And like I said, I'm of the belief that seeds want to grow. And I always overseed. Most people overseed. So that way I have greater success. So that is pretty much it for me right now. I know this is really short, very simple, but I wanted to give you guys something kind of quick and easy that you could use and get started. Some kind of, quick little bites here and there. But when you look at this, you can kind of see now the potting mix was kind of already moistened, but you can see with just a little bit more water, this is going to clump together fairly nicely, but it's also not going to be really thick. It's really light and crumbly the way that you're going to want it for your seeds. So I hope this is helpful. I hope some basic, definitions has provided you some more insight. And if and hopefully some answers if you're like me, that you just had a whole lot of questions that led to more questions. If you have any that you think of, I will definitely try to answer them if you drop me a comment. That's all I have for you today, you guys. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!